Welcome. This is Shelly Chapman of EatWhatYouLove.com, and you are watching Eat What You Love. This is the first segment of a four-part series, and Eat What You Love is really all about looking at what it is that you love to eat and then amplifying that. So much of the journey in better health, weight loss, trying to eat better is so focused on you can't eat this, you can't eat that, and it gets frustrating. It gets to be this confusing mathematical equation and formula that doesn't add up to anything but frustration. So, Eat What You Love is an acronym. In today's segment, we're going to focus on L, all right? And beyond using this acronym just for eating the physical food, it also applies to your life, the relationships that you bring into your life, the relationship that you have with your body and yourself. And so L today stands for life, all right? Eat what you love. So today we're eating life. That's what the L stands for. What does that mean? Life essentially are eating foods that give you life, all right? And when I say give you life, I mean they don't leave you feeling like you have the itis. They don't leave you feeling like you want to go to sleep or you're in a food coma. They make you feel energized and vibrant and lovely and delicious. Those type of feelings. That's what I'm talking about. Not just the taste of the food, but I'm talking even after it's done. How do you feel? You know, do you feel ready to go about your day? And so, because it's February, yes, the beautiful month of love, and also Black History, which I love. So, we're going to be focusing on desserts because I love desserts. I know you love desserts. Everyone has some bit of a sweet tooth, right? So, this is definitely for the sweetie in you. So, we're going to use our acronym L, life, and we're going to make a delicious, are you ready? Are you ready? A chocolate coconut berry parfait. Oh my God. But we're using all life-giving ingredients. Now, let's talk about life for a minute before we get into this dessert. So life essentially came out of live foods, all right? So live foods, also known as raw foods, is a part of the vegan diet. And it came out of this entire idea that when you eat food, food should nourish you. Food is a source of energy. It's a source of life, right? The sun exactly is where we get most of our energy from. And foods that are closest to the sun are foods that are raw, meaning they have not been cooked or heated over a certain temperature. And we're talking about fruits, we're talking about vegetables, we're talking about nuts and seeds. Now, unfortunately, sometimes when people think about raw foods, they think, oh, it's just a bunch of boring salads. I don't want to eat that. That's boring. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to eat salads all day neither. But raw foods, you can make anything raw. You can make anything into live foods, all right? And so we're going to look at dessert today. But I'm talking you can do, if you like hamburgers, you can have raw hamburgers. But we're not using beef. We're using a mixture of like nuts and seeds and other vegetables to create that burger texture. And, you know, so there's so much creativity that goes into the live vegan foods movement. So that's what we're doing today. And the reason why I love it as a part of Eat What You Love is because it literally does leave your body feeling loved. I mean, you feel like you've nourished your body and respected your body when you eat something that's raw from the earth closest to the live energy, which is the sun. So, same way you feel when you're in a relationship and you're with a partner that leaves you feeling alive. Same way you feel when you're committed to work that you actually love and it makes you feel alive. And when you leave your workday after creating and being productive and giving your all, you feel alive, not exhausted, not weak, not like, oh, I don't want to go back and do this again. So this is what eating what you love is about, right? Eating is a physical act, but it also is the act of consuming relationships and things and people and experiences in your life that leave you feeling loved and allow you to give love back. So let's go ahead and get into the recipe. And we're going to start, can you believe it or not, with avocados. With avocados. Now, I remember the first time that I even learned that you could use avocados to do cool things other than guacamole. I was like, what? Really? You can do like sweet things with this? So I don't know where I learned this recipe, but just along the way, years of experimenting and having fun in the kitchen, I found this idea to use avocado as a base for chocolate pudding, all right? So gone are the days, after this video especially, gone are the days where you're going and buying Jell-O brand. I know Bill Cosby had us all when we were little wanting some Jell-O pudding, but no, none of that powder crap anymore, right? So we're going to start with avocados, live food. from the earth. So I've had this avocado for quite some time, so we'll see how it works out when I cut it. If not, we're going to go on to this one. But all you need is one avocado to make this treat. We're going to cut this in half. Yeah, this one's not going to work so much, all right? So we're going to put that to the side. That one is completely gone. It's always a good idea, by the way, when you're making this dessert to buy 2 or 3 avocados, because sometimes you buy one and you want it ripe, obviously, but sometimes you buy it and then it's like way too ripe and it's not going to work. So this one I think will do the trick, all right? So we're going to cut this open. Let's see what we have here. Beautiful. You see that? Look at it. It's so pretty. I love it. Yes. An avocado, by the way, is also an aphrodisiac. Talk about love. Ow. It's also an aphrodisiac. It's an aphrodisiac mainly because of what it looks like. All right? It looks like the Mel Principle. And the Mel Principle is, well, you know what the Mel Principle is. And if you don't, then you probably should Google it. But aphrodisiacs are more than just what they do when they get in your body in terms of the feeling they give you, but it's also about eating this visual idea of like how it looks when it's presented. And so here we're looking at the Mel Principle. And avocado actually comes from, I want to say it's the Aztec language, which I don't know what it's called. But that word, and I can't pronounce it, it's like Ahuacatal, actually stands for, or is the Aztec word for the Mel Principle, which you can't see, the Mel Principle, and which became avocado. So that's what this is. That's the sexy part of this particular fruit. All right, so we're gonna take our avocado, and really and truly, it doesn't matter. You can actually just scoop it out and put it in there. The easiest way for me is to just go ahead and make these kind of slices in there, and then like so. All right. And then what I do is I just kind of invert it. You see as I'm inverting it, the avocado pieces come up? Exactly, that's what you're trying to do. It just makes it a lot easier. And you just want to drop that into the bowl. Let's see. Perfect. And we're going to do the same thing with this. And you want to pit your avocado. Be very careful. I made the mistake one time of trying to pit the avocado with this in my hand. Not a good look. I completely cut my hand and it was awful. But I was able to heal it, interesting enough, with just honey. I put honey on my hand every single day for a month, and I would just wrap new gauze around it, and I wore a white glove for protection, and literally it healed, no scar or anything. Honey is a miracle ingredient, which is also an aphrodisiac. I'll talk about foods you love. All right, so now we have the base of our pudding. Throw this away. Let me give my hands a quick rinse. Let me show you what we're working with now. Looks like the start of guacamole, except for it's the start of something more delicious than guacamole. Well, I don't know if anything's more delicious than guacamole, but we'll say sweeter than guacamole, all right? So here it is, our avocado. Now, what you want to do is just want to take, you can take a fork, a potato masher, whatever it is that you have, and you're just going to mash this. So here it is, I'm using a fork, which is semi-effective. Takes a little longer, but I prefer to use a masher. It makes life a lot easier. Yeah. So just mash it. And this will serve about, when we're done, probably about 2 servings. So it's nice. You can have some now, have some for later. Or if you're in a loving mood, which you should be after eating this, you should share some with your boo. Now that I got the majority of the mash, I'm going to finish it off with a fork. Now, ideally, you'd want to get this sort of as smooth as possible. You could also put this in a blender or a food processor. Now, if you don't mind having chunks of avocado, it really doesn't matter. I prefer something more smooth. Now, like I said, because I prefer having something a little smoother, you can use the fork and the potato masher. It won't get you there as quickly or even as effectively. But if you don't have a blender, if you don't have a food processor, it doesn't matter because, again, this is not rocket science. We're not trying to make something for Top Chef where we're pleasing judges. You are pleasing yourself. And as long as you are happy and you love it and you're satisfied, then you can eat what you love. It's fine. So I'm going to add this into the food processor because I want it to get a little smoother, and it's going to make it a lot easier for me when I'm adding the other ingredients. So I have my avocado. Now you could have added this in at the stage where we first peeled and cut the avocado, but I wanted to show you what it would look like even if you were just, you know, simply mashing it or using a fork, all right? So I'm gonna make sure I get all that in there. Using this type of spatula really, really helps. So I'm getting all that in there. And because I want it a little smoother, I'm going to add some almond milk. All right, so here's some almond milk here. Now, if this was truly a 100% live raw dish, and I would have made the almond milk from scratch, which really is just a matter of taking raw almonds that have not been toasted, combining it in a blender with some water, fresh water, and a little bit of vanilla, maybe a little bit of agave if I wanted to sweeten it, and then put that in the blender, let that blend, and then I would put that through a nut bag and literally let it sort of let the milk itself come through. It's almost like milking a cow. But again, I want you to understand the principles of eating foods that give you life. And so we're making this a percentage raw, but it's not 100% raw in this case, all right? So I'm gonna add some milk in there, some almond milk, because I want this to have a certain texture. And for my sweetener, I'm happening to use brown rice syrup. Now let me show you up close this is. I discovered this about, let's see, maybe 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago. And I was really pleasantly surprised because I don't even like rice, especially brown rice. Oh God. If I do eat rice, it's going to be like rice and beans or something. But I was like, rice? There's nothing sweet about rice. How do they even come up with this stuff? But this is really delicious. And if you have gluten sensitivities, it's also gluten-free. So that's kind of cool. But you could use agave, you could use honey, you could use whatever sweetener, truthfully, that you like. I think a liquid sweetener is better as it blends in better than using actual sucanat or sugar, okay? So we're going to use this as our sweetener. And, of course, we need our star, cocoa powder. Now, there's cocoa and there's cacao, all right? There's cocoa and there's cacao. Cacao powder is powder that has not essentially been processed. It's as close to the cacao seed, which is where chocolate comes from, as possible. So it hasn't gone through any sort of process. Whereas cocoa powder has been processed, it has gone through a process. I prefer to use a high quality cocoa or to use raw cacao powder, all right? So whichever one you have on hand, again, this is not, you know, rocket science. I want you to start where you are. So as close as you can get to eating live foods and incorporating that into your diet, that's good. And this is a great start, okay? So if you have raw cacao powder, by all means use it. But if you don't, then just feel free to use cocoa powder as well, okay? I happen to have both. I have quite a bit of cocoa and cacao powders. I kind of stock up on those things. So I'm going to add some cacao powder. Now, I'm going to start with about a tablespoon, and then I'm add and see, you know, based on my taste buds, what I want after that, okay? And I'm going to start with about a tablespoon of the brown rice syrup as well for my sweetener, all right? And just for the record, I also use brown rice syrup as a sweetener for my pancakes. So I might take a little bit of brown rice syrup and then mix that with maple syrup and heat it over the fire for a little bit so it gets a little more, what's the word? Runny, because I can't think of a better word to say than that at the moment. And that way I can pour it easily over my pancakes. So that's something else that I use it for. All right, see what happens. All right, I'm going to give you a close-up so you can see what's going on here. You see how that just became kind of like chocolate pudding? And there's still a few green bits in there, which is okay because we're going to work on that. But that's ultimately what you're working towards. So exciting. Now I'm going to take my spatula and just kind of run it down the sides. All right. And there's not a lot in here, which is fine. Because, again, you're not making mass amounts. First of all, its shelf life wouldn't be very stable considering that it's raw. It's fresh, right? It's live from the earth. There's no preservatives. But it's pretty easy and simple enough to make that if you just want to make this on your own really quickly, or if you have some guests coming over, some girlfriends coming over, and you want to treat them to something, this is what you could do. Now I'm going to add a little more milk because I want this to be a little smoother for me. Now you're just really adding milk for consistency. If you didn't want to add milk at all, it would be fine. You're only adding almond milk or rice milk or whatever sort of non-dairy milk that you have so that you can get a smoother consistency. And if you like your pudding a little lighter. So it just all depends on you and texture. So I'm going to try this and see how sweet it is. It's tasting good. Definitely needs more sweetener, but there's enough chocolate in there, so I'm good on that end. Based on the sweetness level, I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons in here. So that's 1. And then I'm going to add in my second one. And by the way, these aren't real tablespoon measurements. As you see, I'm just using the large spoon in my kitchen sink. Because again, this is not about scientific cooking. This is about cooking from your intuition, from the heart, with love. So you know what you like. You know what tastes good. And that's how you're going to approach the situation, all right? I think adding that almond milk was a brilliant idea. For me, the avocado itself can be very, very thick because it is full of fat. Good fat, but it's full of fat. And so it can be a little thick for me. So adding the almond milk is actually a really great idea to just get that consistency where that reminds me more so of pudding. It's perfect. So we got our pudding already made, all finished. Now there's still a few little bits in there that you can see kind of speckled, but you see how beautiful it looks? It looks just like pudding. All right, so this is what we just made. 1 avocado, 3 tablespoons of brown rice syrup, and 1 nice heaping tablespoon of cocoa powder or cacao if you have it. And a little bit of almond milk, and I think altogether, if I had to guess how much almond milk I put in there, probably about 1/4 cup, but I just streamed it in just slowly and until I got the desired texture that I wanted, all right? So it's that simple, that easy. So you could stop here if you wanted, but because we're going to go all gourmet stuff and really dig into what we love, then we're going to add our next layer of the parfait, which is our coconut cream, all right? So to start with the coconut cream, I'm using a can of coconut milk. Now, this particular brand, Thai Kitchen, happens to have a really high fat content, so I know I can trust it each and every time. But you want to experiment with your brands. You know which one you love. But essentially what you're doing is I took this particular brand, this can of coconut, and I put it in my refrigerator the night before. So you want to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight because what's going to happen is the fat and the water are going to separate. That's what you want. All right? You want the fat and the water to separate. So the water will be at the bottom and the fat will be at the top. And you're just going to scoop off that cream. Okay? So let's do that for a minute. And you want to be very careful because you don't want any water in this. All right? So you're going to scoop up as much cream as you can. And just skimming that from the top. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Well, of course, I use a white bowl, but here, you can see it better. You see that? That's your coconut cream right there, right? So that's going to be kind of like our whipped cream. Instead, it's coconut cream. It's a great, great replacement, especially if you have dairy allergies or sensitivities or you're just not in the mood for it. It's a great replacement. If you have a mixer or a beater, like an electric mixer or beater, you can use that as well. I'm just going to actually use one of the beaters. Or you could use a whisk and just sort of whisk that around. And I actually, I'm going to add some vanilla bean paste to it. Vanilla bean paste is very similar to using the vanilla pod itself, but it's actually a lot more cost effective. So the vanilla bean, you can buy it, but you'll get maybe like 3 for $10, whereas this costs about $10, but it's the equivalent of having, I don't know, maybe 50 vanilla beans. So it's just the seeds themselves that they've captured, and you can put that in there. I can see the black seeds already captured inside of the coconut cream. So I have my vanilla beans in there, my coconut cream, and I'm going to add a little bit of sweetener. Now, you may not want the sweetener. You might enjoy it just as it is. It tastes very coconutty, very creamy, so it works either way. And for my sweetener, I'm just going to add some raw honey. And just a tad bit, because honey really, really goes a long way. And this isn't a lot of coconut cream. I'm not trying to over-sweeten it, because the chocolate is already sweet. but I just want to make sure that I have a little hint of sweetness in there. So I'm mixing that in. So good. Let me give this a try. Oh my God, that's so good. Since it's just me, I'm gonna double dip, but I want you to see this. Look at that, beautiful. I'm gonna show you. Can you see that nice bit of cream? It's so good. Now here's where the magic happens. So we have our chocolate pudding that we made out of our sweet avocados, all right? And we also have our coconut cream in this white bowl. And our berries, our fresh mix of berries. We have blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. Now you could use cherries if you wanted to. You could sort of experiment with this. And if you don't have any fresh berries, then just use frozen berries. It's fine, not a problem, all right? So I'm gonna use a mason jar because I think it's really pretty so we can see the layers of our parfait. So we're gonna start with a layer of chocolate pudding. And there you have it. Look at this. How could you not look at this and fall in love? How could you not look at yourself and fall in love? This is what eating what you love is all about. Starting with the L, foods that give you life, relationships that give you life, work that gives you life, environments that give you life. All right? This is all about you and living your best life, being your best in life, contributing your best to life, and receiving the best out of life. All right? So, chocolate, coconut, berry parfait. Live foods, wonderful for you, wonderful for your boo, wonderful for your body. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun with you on this particular episode, and I'm going to see you next when we talk about O, the O in love. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.